All right, guys, welcome to the episode of Pick Money, the podcast. I got a very, very special guest here, my buddy Vick Tipnes. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I know short notice. I
Dude,
appreciate
you reach out, I would have made it happen in an hour. I'm all good. And you must not be from Southern Florida because you were on time. So that's a novelty down here.
I love being on time.
I know. You were early,
I hate
which I
people
love.
that are not on time, dude. I hate it. Sometimes I'll leave.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, for people, and I've when Andrew told me you reached out, I know who you are. I've watched what you're doing. I really, you and I were chatting before we started the podcast, and one of the things for me is I like real people that have had real results, that have actually can teach other people and talk to them, and their words aren't lost on them. So, but for those of you who don't know your story, I've read a lot about what you've done. It's very interesting to me because it's a different sector for me. But give us, for all of those that don't know exactly how you arrived at where you are and don't know your story in the detail, they probably should.
Yeah,
you'll walk us through some of that before we start. That'd be great.
Yeah, no. So look, I'm a college dropout. You know, my parents were entrepreneurs and they were small business owners. I grew up middle class, and I got pulled into the healthcare space because my parents unfortunately died of cancer when I was in my early 20s. So I felt that I could make a difference in that industry, and so I gravitated towards that. And you know, I had a successful career in radiology in my early 20s, and then I sold that company, made no money, literally no money. I think I sold it for $9 million. I was 29 years old, and I walked away with like 150 grand. Okay, so after taxes, I was still broke. I wasn't financially independent at all.
Yeah.
And then I worked for the PE firm that bought me out for about 5 years, and then I ventured out again, and I started because I was kind of looking for what I was going to do.
Yeah.
You know, and it was also a big ego blow, right? Because I was like, I thought in my early 20s, hey, I'm starting this company and I'm going to exit. I'm going to make all this money and I'm going to be financially independent. And I found out that I had made a lot of horrible decisions. So it was a great learning lesson. And then from there, I got an email from a buddy of mine about home sleep testing. And, you know, being a healthcare guy, I was familiar about sleep testing that was migrating to the home instead of the hospitals or the sleep labs. And so I kind of put two together, man, and I saw an opportunity. I was 7 years ahead of everyone else, which I got my timing right, which was, you know, as an entrepreneur, timing is key, right?
Amen.
And so I called the manufacturer that had a home sleep testing device, and I met him at Panera Bread.
Okay.
And the guy's name was Mark. I won't say the company name, but Mark was the sales guy. And I met with Mark at Panera Bread, and I said, hey, Mark, I'm going to build the largest medical sleep testing company in the country. He kind of laughed at me. He was like, okay. He's like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of came in heavy.
Correct. Like,
you know?
beat him over the head. He didn't know what to say.
Panera.
Panera.
Yeah,
He's in over his head.
Fucking Panera. You know? I'm like, okay. So he was like, all right, cool. So he's like, well, hey, how many of these units do you want? I said, give me 2 or 3. And I bought them. And I went to an insurance company locally, and they gave me a 3-county deal and said, hey, we'll let you provide these services to our members in 3 counties. It was Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Pasco.
Okay.
And I went out and I started peddling sleep tests, man. And I was calling on doctors and didn't have any money. I was going through a divorce at the time. And so I think my kids were maybe 8, 9 years old. I had nothing. There was nothing to lean back on. There was no family to lean back on. And so every day I would go out and I would talk to doctors and I would say, hey, I have this home test that would save your patients money, and it's a better service, better quality, better cost, better access. And then I did that, for 6 or 7 months, and I was able to rent an office for $500 a month, and I hired 1 employee, and I raised some money through private investors. Not a lot, a couple $100,000. And then it was friends and family. It was friends. It was no family. So it was friends, credit cards, and maxed out my credit cards. And then, I did that dance for several years.
How old were you then?
I was 33.
Okay.
33, 34 years old. And I was broke every week. I think, when in 2015, I was making, $800 a week. But the funny thing was, I was never really chasing money, right? I was always chasing my potential, my opportunity. I figured, look, if I create enough value in my life, for people, my company, and my friends, money will come, right?
Amen.
So I said, hey, that's where I'm going to focus. And so I was broke, but I was happy.
Yep.
You know, it was Chipotle every day for lunch. And I grinded, and, fast forward, and we can get into the story later, but, fast forward, several years, I built the largest medical provider in the United States by a wide margin. We're the number one player in the U.S., and we're in 45 states, and we have over 550 employees. And,
wow.
we have a lot of our own technology. We have our own iPhone app now, and we use a lot of great technology to allow patients to get tested in the home. And part of me being on social media too was, look, there's not a lot of healthcare guys on social media, right? There's probably single digits.
Not a lot of real people doing something real in the healthcare industry on social media.
Exactly.
Correct.
Exactly. So then I got into conferences, and I, created one of the biggest conferences in the country and did all that. Had Magic Johnson there, David Goggins, Alex Rodriguez, and all these guys. And so I'm trying to put more awareness on healthcare. I think there needs to be a lot more entrepreneurship and innovation in healthcare because it's a broken system, very broken system that people don't talk about. And so I focus highly on healthcare. I'm a passionate guy about healthcare. I love it. I love the industry. I love biotech. And so for me, it's a lot of fun, and that's what I like to do.
Love it. Yeah. What did the email say? Your friend sent you an email about what? A sleep apnea. You got an email that intrigued you to look at what
said, hey, there was a medical device that could diagnose sleep apnea in your home. And I said, okay, cool. Sounds good.
He sent it to you because he thought you might want to sell it. You might want to do something in the industry. He was just bored.
He was like, hey, you should look at this.
Got it. Okay. And walk us through, you had talked earlier because people don't understand this. You sold a company for around $9 million and walked away with $150,000.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that, because I don't think people understand sometimes. And I've talked to people like that. I'm like, well, how much did you get? Like, you sold it for X. Explain to us how you sold it for $9 million, walked away with $150,000.
Well, I over leveraged, had a lot of debt. I was signing PGs like it was going out of style, right? Like, oh, this is a PG. Oh,
no doubt, personal guarantee. Let's go.
No problem. Here's a PG for this, PG for that, blah blah blah. It was PGs. Yeah. Don't sign PGs, and unless you really mitigate it. But so it was a lot of PG, it was a lot of debt. But it was look, I was in my 20s. I didn't know as much as I thought I did. I was in an industry where I was basically, the sophistication level that I had didn't match my prowess, right? So I was
say that again if you don't mind. Please, that was deep.
The sophistication I had didn't match my prowess.
Okay.
It really didn't. And so here I had all this eagerness and this drive and this ambition, but I was a little naive.
Yeah.
Okay. I was very naive. And I probably wouldn't have admitted that then. Looking back now, I'm like, wow, I was very naive. Naive in the sense that I think, I was like, well, I could trust everyone. No one's out there trying to screw me. Everything's great. Sing kumbaya. And I over leveraged the business, and I got to a point where I had the wrong partners, wrong investors. The intentions weren't aligned. And as a result of that, it created a lot of commotion and it was not harmonious. So when I exited, I was able to kind of the guy that bought me out, I'm still friends with today, and I basically got a clean slate, right? I was able to walk away.
That's right. Nobody, nothing.
After I paid everybody, legal fees, all the partners, all the investors, I got a check for $150,000 at closing, and then I got another $100,000 12 months later. As a kind of a buyout payment later on,
kind of deal.
But there's still $100,000 after taxes is $70,000, so it was I don't even count that. But I ended up getting $150,000, and I was in a very difficult situation. I had my family suing me. I had two brothers that ended up suing me
because of the business.
Yeah, because my father had passed away. My father had some ownership in the business, even though it was passive.
And your brother
and they
sued
convinced
you.
him to give him the shares, and then I got sued. I mean, dude, you name it, right? And now, look, think about yourself now. Think if you're 28 years old dealing with that.
Oh, dude, I know.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that I got through it.
100%.
Because if I look at a 28-year-old today and he told me that he was dealing with all that, I'd be like, wow.
Because it's a lot.
It's a lot.
On your plate at any age.
At any age.
Family,
So,
finances, the world coming down upon you.
I'll tell you what, I had so much depression that I went to the doctor because I had a fever that they call it a consistent fever of 101 that lasted about 17 days.
You had 101 fever for 17 consecutive days?
Yeah. So the doctor thought I had HIV.
Oh shit!
Okay. No, I'm telling you,
Did you believe him?
Wow. I mean, fuck. I was like, bro,
damn,
what the fuck?
Wow,
right?
that's a terrible.
So obviously I got tested and I didn't have HIV, right?
How long was that time frame where you had to figure out when he said that and fucking get a confirmation you didn't have it?
It was a couple of days.
That was a long couple of days.
It was a long couple of days.
Damn.
Because I was like, hold on. Like, how did I go from this to now this doctor saying, I had because it didn't make sense.
No, none of it.
Because he was like, how do you have a consistent staying fever of 101 for 17 days? Doesn't make any sense, right? That's how much pressure I was under because I'm getting sued by everybody.
All your emotions cause that.
Yeah. Yeah, the stress, the emotion, the counterintention in my space, the environment. So I had a staying fever. I found out, okay, great, I'm perfectly healthy. No, it was great. And if it wasn't that, he was like, okay, maybe you have cancer and it's giving you a fever. Like, because, who has a fever for 17 days?
Nobody I've ever met outside of you.
So I had the fever and I got through it and it was a great learning lesson, but I don't wish that upon anybody. So.
Do you, if you don't mind, Matt, where are you at with your brothers now? Y'all close?
My
close?
oldest one I don't really talk to. He doesn't really talk to me. The other one we talk. It's infrequent. We talk, but could be a lot better relationship. But the thing is that in my life I've gotten to a point where I'm not the type of guy that hugs somebody that I don't like.
Correct. And
I've gotten to a place in my life where I want to have relationships that are meaningful and truthful, and I don't want to have relationships where there's always a 800-pound gorilla sitting in a room. So I'd rather talk about it, but not everybody does, right? So I just don't like to have relationships where I'm just like, there's something there that you don't talk about. I don't want to do that. So for me, it's not a meaningful relationship to be that way. So that's been tough and it's been a strained relationship. But, look, I mean, at that time, I remember going back to that time and I was like, hey, they ended up with way more money than me because they were able to, basically muscle their way into a business that they had nothing to do with. Grab some
money even though they didn't build it. They didn't have any debt. They didn't owe anything.
They ended up getting, I think one of them bought a Ferrari and the other one bought an Aston Martin. And I was like, I couldn't buy anything, right? But I tell you what, man, that shit drove me. I said, you know what? I'm gonna come back, and we'll come back bigger and fucking better. And
good for you.
And now I got a Gulfstream.
Those are beautiful.
Yeah,
that's what I'm getting next. So, the Citation, I'm selling that and getting a Gulfstream.
Great plane.
100%.
So
in and out.
Yeah.
So all right, lot of lessons in there, right? But I think how was it? You worked for the PE company that acquired your company for, you said, 5 years.
Yeah.
In what capacity? Did you still run the company, or did you have a different?
No. I was out ownership wise, but I was their VP, Florida VP, or executive VP.
How was that for you?
I mean, look, dude, it was a job.
Yeah.
I mean, I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it. Just because I was reporting to people that were just not smarter than me.
Correct.
And it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I had a loyalty to the owner who had saved me, but he was out. He was out of the business. He was an investor. And so him and I are great friends today. I was actually going to go to New York, and then the storm hit, and I couldn't go. And but I think reporting to people that you don't that you're smarter than, and you have a better understanding of the business than they do. Not that it makes them wrong. It's just it is what it is. So that was tough. So that was a very tough 5 years, because I think what's tough sometimes, and I don't know what your thoughts, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, is I have a very difficult time not being myself in my own skin. And I think that's a priceless commodity to have these days. Like I don't change for people.
Correct.
Like I am who I am with you as I am with anyone else. So you won't ever find me out one day and it's like, oh, Vick's so different.
Correct.
Like I revel in that commodity that I have, right? And so during those 5 years, Sean, it was really difficult for me to have to kind of be somebody else.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to be me.
Correct.
And that's a
It's a painful way to exist.
yeah.
Because in my thoughts, honestly, I can't do it. And I think for me, people always say to me, this person says this about you, this person says, I tend to not have you have an opinion of me one way or another, but I am who I am my entire life. Mm-hmm. Like I've not changed when I was broke as shit. I've been through so much that I don't judge people. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing I think is adorable nowadays. Everybody judges everybody.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, first of all, whatever faith you have or don't have, it ain't your job.
No.
Who are you? It's not your job to judge. So for me, when I look at somebody and something happens, I'm like, dude, that could have been me. That could have been you. Like, we're one bad decision or some bad luck away from that happening, right?
Yeah.
When I sold, it's funny, I sold my real estate, my whole portfolio, and they wanted me to work for them. And I was young.
Yeah.
And I remember the guy came with me. He said, because they believed I was lying to them about how low my delinquent rents were and how high my occupancy was. I said, will you all pick, I don't give a shit, 15, 20, 40 properties randomly. Call me in the morning. I'll go with you. And I'll never forget, he said, well, can you show me how you do your intake? And I said, well, it's not called an intake. I meet a prospective tenant. I have a property management company. But if you want me to show you how we do it, I will. Yeah. So I'm sitting down with the guy, and the lady's talking to me, and I was like, well, what's your son been arrested for? And she's stumbling around. I said, we're going to run his record anyway. And listen, dude, he's being really crazy and weird, and I know he's been arrested. So he basically starts telling me how he's been arrested for this sex offense. So I was like, well, obviously, I'm not going to rent to you. And she's like, what do you mean, obviously? I was like, what the fuck do you mean? What do you mean? Are you being sarcastic? I said, come here for a minute. Yeah. So I asked again. I said, what the fuck happened? So he tells me. And he's literally looking at me, telling me all this shit. I said, well, dude, I'm never going to fucking rent you. Nobody's going to rent you. And stop fucking calling me. Yeah. So we leave, and the guy's like, you just can't do that. I was like, I just fucking did it. Yes, I can. Yeah. That's exactly what the fuck I did. Yeah. Like, he assaulted a little kid. Like, I can definitely do it. It's not a problem. And they wanted to sell me that company back. Yeah. But they want me to work for them. Yeah. And I'm like, there's no way I can do it. Yeah. But you know what's funny is, what I learned about me is there's certain places I shouldn't be in. There's certain industries I shouldn't be in. There's certain industries that just don't make sense to me. And I always tell people, having a job, dude, I had a job for the majority of my life. Did I love it? No, because I felt pretty much always that people were inferior in their ability to perform at that job that I was. Yeah. So I didn't like it. Yeah. But I still did it. Yeah. And that's the thing, people are like, well, I quit my job. Like, you're 23 with no money. You need a job. Yeah. Like, you need to make some kind of income somewhere. Yeah, you know? Absolutely. That's a fascinating freaking story, and I appreciate your transparency, which is probably one of the reasons people like you so damn much, because you're so easy to talk to.
Well, some people do, some people don't. I mean,
well,
like,
dude, they do, they don't, they don't.
Yeah, I think the best commodity you can have, and I can see that you have this commodity too, is like, you know, the worst disease you can have is worrying about what people think of you.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
No,
never have.
But everybody that does, just unfortunately, they're a slave to the system. Yeah, right?
Not me,
you
bro.
just
I
can't
feel real
operate
free.
that way. Yeah.
Like you talk about relationships that are healthy. I want to talk about sleep apnea. Yeah. Because I'm going to tell you, I knew nothing about it. And it was probably 3 years ago, a friend of mine, he said to me, and he's a big boy, and I wouldn't say, I mean, he's 5'10", 250. He could be thinner. He's a big boy. Yeah. But not, like unbelievably obese. Yeah. And he said, man, my wife keeps getting on me to get the sleep apnea test. And I said, I don't even, like, aside from knowing what it is, I don't, Yeah. He said, well, she's afraid I'm going to die. Yeah. And I'm like, of sleep apnea? Yeah. Like, so we start talking about, and then probably about a month later, first it started that he was snoring. And then she was upset about that. Then she was like, dude, you freak me out in your sleep because I think you're dying. Yeah. Like, literally. Yeah. And I have very minimal information, obviously. It's not my deal. But he said he did a study. Don't know where.
Yeah, probably
got him. Probably was.
He probably got it done at Blackstone.
Probably was. I should ask him. Yeah. Got whatever his deal was afterwards. Yeah. And he's like, I'm so much healthier in every way since then. Yeah. First of all, how detrimental is sleep apnea if it's not treated? How detrimental can it be if it's not treated?
Well, it's very detrimental. Let me give you the little bit of the science behind it. So first of all, sleep apnea, the word apnea means in Greek without breath. Okay. So that's what apnea means. So
you're literally losing your breath.
Yeah, you're going for a period of 10 seconds or more without a breath. Okay, when you're sleeping. And so what happens is your body, so let's just take a sleep apnea event, okay, for one event. So when you have a sleep apnea event, you can't breathe. So your body, your brain sends a signal to say, wake up. Okay. So it releases a huge amount of adrenaline in your bloodstream. And the amount of adrenaline is similarly or equal to the amount of adrenaline you'd have in a car accident.
Wow.
So it's a big jolt.
To shock your body to get
shock
you to wake
your body,
up.
say, hey, wake up, right? So now you're like, yeah, wake up. But sometimes you don't wake up. You know you wake up. You're just below the level of consciousness, right? So you have this apnea event. Now your body's like, okay, now I'm breathing again. The body's an amazing thing, right? Mm-hmm. So the body's like, hey, I got to protect you. Boom. So now you're awake. Now you're awake. You're awake. But then what happens is you have all this adrenaline in your system, right? So now your body has to counteract that, right? So your body's now releasing insulin and other things in your bloodstream to counteract the adrenaline that was now jolted into your bloodstream. So now you have this situation where you've got adrenaline, insulin, all this stuff going on, right? And you wake up in the morning and you feel like you got hit by a truck.
Okay.
Well, that's why you feel like you got hit by a truck, because you had this huge event. Now, there's some people that have like 60 of those a night.
Every night or on occasion?
Per night.
Do they wake up?
Events.
They don't wake up. Their body gets to that and their body does. Okay.
So the people that have 60, 70, 100 apnea events per night, right? Which was severe. But let's say you had 20. Well, 20 is a lot.
Yeah, sure.
You're doing that every day, right? So it's the impact on your health is huge. So now you're a healthy individual. You may be not morbidly or clinically obese, right? Clinically obese in the United States is defined as a BMI, body mass index, of 30 or more. Okay. The CDC has projected that by 2026, 50% of the U.S. population will be clinically
That's
obese.
Scary.
Literally. Clinically obese. So that means you got a
half
BMI
the people
of
in the
30
United States
more.
of America.
Half. So if your BMI is 30 or greater, it's an instant sleep study, because you might be in a situation where you're not able to breathe at night because you have too much body mass, right? So what happens is you're a healthy individual. Let's say that you're a football player, but you're a healthy guy, but you're not sleeping at night. So now you're in a situation where you find out, you go to the doctor one day and you find out you're type 2 diabetic because of all the adrenaline,
That
insulin
causes
issues.
the type 2 diabetes.
Absolutely. Wow. So now you're in this situation where you're like, hey, but hold on, I'm a healthy guy.
Yeah.
Okay, well now you're potential or you're pre-diabetic because you have all this chemical endorphins and all this other stuff going on in your body. That's the free radicals and all the things that go on in your body during this time. So you're in this very unique situation, right? So getting tested is the best thing that you can do, because you get tested, you get on therapy, maybe it's a CPAP machine or maybe it's an oral appliance, and you get on the right therapy. I mean, think about it, because if you're not getting REM sleep, right? You're not getting REM sleep at night. You guys know REM, rapid eye movement sleep, right? Which, out of 7 or 8 hours of sleep, maybe you get REM for 2 hours. But if you're waking up, you're not going to go into deep sleep. And REM sleep is where your body rejuvenates. Mm-hmm. So if you're not sleeping well and you're not getting the REM sleep,
so on every level, you're destroying your body.
You're just destroying your body. You're just destroying it. It's got nothing to do with, I didn't sleep well. It's like, no, dude, you're destroying your body.
And you actually can't sleep well because of your condition.
Yeah. You're tired during the day. So then you slept 7-8 hours, and that's a good indicator, right? So let's say that, you slept 7-8 hours, but you're just like, man, I just don't feel slept. I don't feel rejuvenated. I don't feel like I slept well. I'm still tired. I want to take a nap. You may have sleep apnea. And at that point, you should talk to your doctor and say, hey, let me get tested. And so, look, when I got started, sleep apnea wasn't the big thing. Okay. It wasn't sexy. It wasn't coffee table talk. Now it's coffee table talk, right? It's like, oh, sleep apnea. Yeah. Oh, I'm on the therapy and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And, we in May, we tested 1 million patients.
In May,
we finally passed 1 million people tested.
Wow.
So it's great to see, and I don't mean great to see from a business perspective, but it's great to see from a health concern perspective that people are now actually taking it way more seriously than they used to. Yeah. And now they're just getting tested. And, now look, we have a ring device. We ship it to your house. You put the ring on.
That's your sleep test?
You put the ring on.
So you don't go in some hospital laying in bed all night long.
You put the ring on.
That's actually what I thought it was.
You download our app. You put
Seriously?
the ring on, you click it, it connects.
That's what y'all created?
Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah.
Damn, and that gives you everything any sleep study would give you.
We can diagnose everything based off of that. It uses polysmeth tomography. Okay, polysmeth tomography. It took me a while to be able to say that. But basically, what it is so similar to an Apple Watch. If whoever's got an Apple Watch, it uses a red light indicator light right underneath it. Yeah. Well, that collects data, and it collects a lot of data. Let's say, for example, it collects data of your blood cells and how your blood cells are moving at different parts, second to second, based on the data derived from your blood cells, how far apart they are, the movement of these blood cells. We can then determine if you're moving around while you're sleeping. We can determine what your respiratory effort is, how well or hard you're breathing, based on all of these small indicators. Now, there's a lot of back-end technology that we extract from that, but that's part of the technology that we use to be able to diagnose you, right? And we have board-certified sleep physicians that look at all this data and can come up with the results. But it's fascinating that we can do that from a ring.
But also, almost now your client base is everybody. I mean,
Client
pretty
base
much
everybody.
Because, like, I don't know that I ever have any sleep apnea. Why would I not want to know legitimately what's going on with my heart? Yeah. When I'm in REM, how long I'm in REM, what am I doing for my body? Should I get more? Should I get less?
Right.
Why would I not want to know that?
You wouldn't, and it's covered by insurance, right? So if you feel that you have an issue where you're just not feeling rested. I mean, at that point, I would be like, hey, let me get a test.
You didn't go to college? Radiology, no. You became a radiologist, or you?
No, I hired radiologists, and
so you have no formal education.
No.
You have plenty of education, but no formal college education. How'd you get into the science of all this?
I read a lot. It's funny because I watch a lot of interviews about Elon Musk, right? And people are always fascinated by, like, well, hold on, he didn't go to school for rockets. Right. Well, I didn't go to school for medicine, right? I didn't go to school for sleep or radiology, but the information is out there. 100%. There's so much information. I've had to do a tremendous amount of reading and understanding about all different sorts of machines that, like in radiology, that they had PET scans. I don't know if you know what a PET scan is. All right, so positron emissions tomography, right? Mm-hmm. Do you know how that works?
No.
All right, so it's kind of fascinating, but how it works essentially is you go in for this PET study, and we want to find where cancer is in your body. And this is a great way for people to understand about their diet and how bad sugar is. So I'm going to inject you. They inject you with a sugar-based dye. Okay. Now the sugar, so I'm injecting you with a sugar-based dye, and then I put you in the PET scan. Mm-hmm. And the PET scan shows where the sugar-based dye ended up. Okay. And it shows like a flare. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the sugar-based dye goes directly to where the cancer cells are.
Why?
Because cancer eats sugar.
Cancer eats sugar? Mm-hmm. Damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what PET
Cancer is sugar-based, meaning that's all it wants to eat.
The more stuff you correct.
Yeah, it wants to eat sugar.
Wow.
So we put sugar in you, it goes to where the cancer cell is or the tumor is, and it lights up. Shit. Why is it lighting up? Because the sugar went exactly there. So the person leaves there and goes to fucking McDonald's and gets a fucking, a chocolate smoothie and is wondering why I'm fucking getting sick, right?
Correct.
But that's the science. I'm simplifying it, but that's positron emissions tomography, the PET scans. That was why that was such a big deal, because now you had a tumor, you didn't have to cut it up and do a biopsy. You could do a PET study, which is great, technology, and it's advanced even more, since then. But yeah. So this was back in 2005. Wow. Okay, so that's when I was like, oh shit. People are talking about sugar now, and I'm like, dude, back in 2005, when I had a PET scan, we actually provided the service. I was like, hold on, this is weird. Hold on, you're gonna inject sugar into me, and then you're gonna see where the sugar goes. Well, what if I just don't eat sugar, or limit my sugar intake? Right? Wouldn't that? Oh, it makes sense. I would just starve the cancer. So But again, all that.
So there's something behind that if you would limit that.
There is something behind it.
Damn.
Yeah.
That
you got to limit your sugar.
In general, but you're saying it feeds the cancer.
Yeah, that's
you can starve out cancer.
That's why fasting is such a huge thing now. If you look at fasting, and I intermittent fast, I don't know if you intermittent fast.
I do.
Yeah, but the reason you intermittent fast is because if
But I don't drink Diet Mountain Dew either anymore. I
Yeah.
can't drink this around here, bro.
I drink Coke Zero.
You do?
But
Okay, I'm back.
I drink
in.
a shit ton
Okay,
of Coke
shit.
Zero.
I mean, I drink a shit
No,
ton of
no,
Diet
you're
Mountain
good.
Dew.
You're
Okay,
good.
perfect.
Yeah,
See,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
good.
you're fine.
He said I'm good.
But if you look at fasting, essentially what you're doing is you're starving the cancer cells. So you have cancer cells in your body every single day. Okay.
Okay.
Because cancer cells are mutated cells. They're cells that were programmed. So you have cells in your body,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So every single year you get a whole new, sheath of skin, right? You get a whole new bone. You get a whole new liver, right? Because all those cells are regenerating. That cell's dying, gets duplicated by another cell. Well, in the event you have a cell that's programmed to duplicate twice, that your body, your white cells go in and say, hey, okay, you got to go.
You got to go.
Because you were only supposed to duplicate once, but you
Right.
duplicated twice, which is how you get the growth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a cell that's saying, hey, I'm going to regenerate over and over again. It's a misprogrammed cell,
Got it.
right? So your white cells, your immune system's got to be in good shape to be able to get rid of that every day. It's happening every day.
Damn. So if you can keep yourself in good health from an immunity standpoint, your white cells, you can
Your white cells can do the job.
let them do the work
Now,
for
if
you.
you're under a lot of stress and you have a horrible diet, how well is your immune system going to do? It's not going to do that great. So you have to be in a position where your immune system is thriving and winning so that it can get rid of these cancerous cells that's all cancer is. It's a mutated cell that continues to grow because it has the wrong programming, right? And your body is designed to get rid of that. So if you don't take care of your immune system and you're feeding your body all this sugar all day long, you're suppressing your immune system. I think the number was for every teaspoon of sugar, your immune system gets suppressed for 7 hours.
Really?
Something around that
I don't
range.
need a lot of sugar, thank God.
But it's so yeah. So when I started hearing about that, I cut out sugar really in general. I mean, I still have my ice cream and my desserts and stuff, but I don't have sugar with my coffees, and I don't eat a lot of sugar during the day, and I don't eat candy and stuff like that during the day. I'll have my times when I do it, but I do it when I eat, so that my insulin is spiked at one time and it's good to go.
Correct.
But yeah, sugar is a bad thing.
Damn.
Sugar's a bad thing.
All right. So you've been ridiculously successful. And you brought up some of the conference you got, and I wanted to ask you this question because somebody asked me who the most interesting person I've ever interviewed was. And I said, if you ask from an interesting, like enigmatic, deep, there's a lot of pain in there, in real, for me, it was David Goggins.
Yeah.
I've not met anybody like David Goggins.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, same.
I've met a lot of people going through a lot of things, but you've been around a lot of people. You've interviewed a lot of people, these huge events. Who was probably the most surprising? If you're like, beforehand, I met this person, and damn, I didn't realize these 2, 3, 4. Who was the most surprising for you after you had a chance to meet him? Like what you thought about him or her beforehand, was it good or bad? Was it a hell of a lot different than after?
I don't know. I think Magic was a lot more sophisticated than I had seen.
Yeah.
Right. To me, he was the quintessential professional. Like I remember when I saw a video after the conference. I don't know if it was him. You showed me, or somebody showed me, but basically, Magic was, instead of being in his green room when I went on for my initial keynote, he went out of the green room and was sitting there watching me on the back screen the entire time. And when I got off the stage, he got on the stage. And then he started taking bits from my speech and using it in his speech. He didn't have to do that.
No.
I was
He
like,
gets it.
wow, that guy's a professional.
He's sharp.
He really, really gets it. So I really enjoy, and I like to study those types of things with people. And then, I think I would agree David Goggins was also a very, very deep individual, has a crazy story. And I really enjoyed him, and we really connected on the stories. And he has his Rocky moment. I had my Rocky moment. And so that was a great, but they were all great in their own way. Jay Cutler he has an amazing story. I really like Jay's story. They were all great. I mean, Alex's story was great. I mean, even Rick Ross has a crazy story.
Yeah, dude. I know. It's nuts.
He's got a crazy story. But I think everybody in their own right had their own thing. Grant had his story, and it was a great story. And, I'm trying to think who else do we have that I'm missing? Anybody else I'm missing? Tucker was great.
Tucker's great.
Tucker
He's a
actually,
stud.
yeah. Tucker really surprised me.
Yeah.
Because you see him one way on TV, and you get in front of him, and he's just a regular
dude,
family man. He's just his values are there and all that, and agree or disagree with his politics. He's just he's a very humble, nice guy. Mm-hmm. And I think somebody that has so much influence as much as he has, you kind of think that they kind of have gotten to him a bit.
Yeah, lost his mind, but
it hasn't.
Well, you know what's funny, and you talk about the stories, and I want to kind of hit on this because I think most of the people that we talk to and that follow, subscribe, they're trying to find their own way. Mm-hmm. They either have a story and they've not, because for me, people are like, what's the greatest thing that ever happened to you? That I had to do all my shit on my own. Like, I don't have a better, and then you have kids, and when you start, like, the cross to bear for you with the two young ones is going to be, they ain't going to have the struggles you had.
No.
Ever.
No.
And that's great, but I told a buddy of mine the other day, he's 31. He said, what do you think is going to be the hardest thing for me now that I said, well, you were worth 21 cents 5 years ago. You now have two children. Yeah. You're worth 35, 40 million.
Yeah.
You're not broke. We do a lot of business together. And your two children are never going to struggle the way you did. Mm-hmm. Never. It's impossible unless you go off the deep end and start smoking crack every day and get jacked up.
Yeah.
You hear these people with their stories, in your opinion, because you have yours. You've been around a lot of successful people that have their story as well.
Yeah.
What did you see them do? I get it. They move through it. They pull all of that. But there's a lot of folks that I'll see. I was in a meeting the other day, and this one guy's cussing this kid out. And I pulled him aside afterwards. I was like, bro, do you think he's in that place right now? Do you see how broken he is? Like, do you see he's hanging on by a string? Mm-hmm. Right now, he's trying to make $1. He's trying to make a sale. Don't bully somebody that is in that position.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you want to go talk shit to David Goggins? I'll respect you. I think he'll smack the shit out of you at any age he's in. I got my money on Goggins. Yeah. But at the end of the day, what have you seen specifically that these people, yourself included, because you had that fever for that many days. Damn, doctor told you you might have a like. Oh my God!
I got the HIV. He thought I had the HIV, man.
Like, you know what I mean? It took you a couple of days to figure out if you did or you didn't.
Like, oh,
but
shit.
stress. Think about it. Could it have gotten any lower from an emotional standpoint than it was? No, because your body reacted so poorly. Yeah. What do you see that yourself and these other people have said? You know what? Screw it, man. What did y'all do that the people listening need to understand? If they can do some of these things, they can come out the other end, whatever that looks like for them.
But what do you mean specifically that they have to do?
Like their world's crumbling.
Yeah.
Their world's whether they don't have to be. Their world's crumbling right now. They're not where they want to be financially. They're going through a bad situation. They're going through a divorce. This happened with their kid. They had a great job and now they don't. They started their company. They ran into the ground. Now they filed bankruptcy. They're in a fucking terrible position in their life. Mm-hmm. To them, it's rock bottom. Mm-hmm. And right now they're grasping to get out. What advice you give them? Specific advice.
Look, I mean, I think it's maybe a simple answer.
I don't care, dude.
Right? It may
a lot
be
of it's
really
simple.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be as technical as all that science shit you said that confused the fuck out of me. This can be a good simple one.
The simplicity of it is you got to get up every day, mm-hmm. and you got to put one foot in front of the other, mm-hmm. and you got to go to work, and that's really your duty. Like, I've been through so many difficult times, so many different challenges, close to bankruptcy, so many times. And, I think people get lost in today's social media world of thinking that it's the cold plunge and it's the this and it's the video that you need to watch and all that stuff. And look, if anything you get from this and is the messaging is really like, that's all bullshit. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
You have to really put your big boy pants on and it's duty. It's like being
mm-hmm.
a soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I wasn't, a lot of people don't know this. If I was an entrepreneur, I'd be a Navy SEAL. Mm-hmm. And the reason I'd be a Navy SEAL is because I fall into line with duty. To me, it's duty, right? Mm-hmm. I have a duty to myself, to my goals, to my wife, to my kids, to my company, to all the employees everywhere, and all the things that I do to get up and do it. Mm-hmm. And I may not feel like I want to do it. There's many days that I've been where I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to have to face the things I had to face that day. but I said, hey, I got to do it. This is what I signed up for, you know. And I think people forget that because they go into these adventures, these journeys. Well, you signed up for that, right?
Correct.
You signed up for that,
100%.
right? If you want to be a boxer, don't get mad later because you got knocked out. I mean, you signed up for it,
Correct.
right? If I'm a soldier and I go to war and I get shot in the arm, I signed up for it, right? I could have took a job at Target, but I didn't.
Right.
So I think people lose the sight of what you signed up for. So I have to remind myself sometimes when I'm dealing with a lot of stuff, hey, Vic, you signed up for this. There's no bitching. There's no complaining. There's no why me. There's no victim mentality. It's like, dude, I signed up for it. And you got to get out of bed and you got to put one foot in front of the other and you got to go to fucking work.
Correct. Well, that's the thing, though, I think, Vic, is that I think that people want to convince others and themselves that it's harder because if it's more complicated, then there's a reason I didn't do it. The problem is
fucking hard, right? It's fucking. I mean, look at all the shit. Look how fucking. It wasn't easy for you.
It was fucking hard work.
Yeah.
But none of it was so complicated that I couldn't figure it out, and none of it's so complicated that anybody can't figure it out.
Yeah, I agree.
That you might go if you go. I'm going to be a doctor and study sleep. If you dumb, you won't be. Because you won't pass the fucking med. You will not get into medical school. If you are dumb, you will not be. I'm not dumb. God made some people tall, short, dumb, smart.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship doesn't discriminate. And everybody wants a better answer. They're like, well, no, but when you say, hey, it was simple, no. Dude, getting off of your ass when it sucks isn't simple. When I launched the life insurance company, I went to the university I graduated from, Eastern Connecticut State University. You would never have heard of it. I have a degree in psychology and social work. Then when I got a master's degree at Central Connecticut State because they're state schools. And when I went back the first time, they wanted me to talk to me about donating and giving back. So I go in like this because this is how the fuck I dress. Okay? Shorts, shirt I want to wear, sneakers.
Yeah.
That's it. So I meet with a guy. He does this whole pitch. It's not. I mean, their endowment's maybe fucking $8 million for the whole school.
Yeah.
It ain't no big deal.
Yeah.
I tell him I'll give him $500,000.
Yeah.
He's like super nice to me. Then I leave. He sends an email inadvertently to me that was supposed to go to his boss.
Yeah.
And it started, the first line was, Sean Mike is all hat, no cattle. You know what that means?
Yeah.
Okay, so like he's from Texas, and that was supposedly like,
Yeah,
Sean's full of shit, he's all talk.
yeah.
And it went on to say, it listed why I was full of shit.
Yeah.
That I told him I went through a divorce 7 days before I launched company, which was true.
Yeah.
I didn't have any formal education in business. With everything I told him, which was true. So I get this email. Then he recalls it, but my staff, she's no joke. She prints every email she just thought of it. She prints it. So I have this email.
Yeah.
He recalls it.
Yeah.
I've got it in my hands.
Yeah.
I don't say, he calls me 4 or 5 times. I don't say nothing to him. Nothing. And he doesn't know what to say. What message did you leave? Hey, by the way, did you get my, he doesn't know if I read it. He has no idea. And a couple years later, my daughter's like, hey, I'm going to go to school there. And I was like, all right. So now I run into this guy again. And he's like, I'm really sorry. I'm really embarrassed. And I end up giving him money. Anyway, I said,
You're a nice guy.
Yeah. But I only gave it, I was able to go because I played baseball.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they gave me a lot of money, but it helped me with financial aid scholarships, whatever else. And it was for kids where I grew up. Because like in that area, when I was a little kid, they didn't have much money. And I said to the guy, so you know what breaks my heart? And I'm very upfront. I said, I don't give a fuck about you. I said, you've worked here for 35 fucking years. You're just hoping to retire. You don't move the needle for me. But what's sad is the decisions you've made in people's lives and the advice you've given them because you decided because you can't overcome something.
Yeah.
Because you can't.
Yeah, because you quit on yourself.
I can fucking overcome anything that I have the ability to.
Right.
I can't beat fucking LeBron James one-on-one. I can't hit a pitch if fucking Garrett Cole's throwing it. I can't strike out Ohtani. That requires talent.
Yeah.
But anything that requires no talent, I can fucking do that.
Yeah.
You think that I woke up from I didn't want to be divorced.
Right.
I wasn't like, oh my God, I can't wait to get divorced.
Yeah.
I didn't get married and go, let's just have 2 kids and then one day let's get divorced. That'll be badass.
Right.
I never planned that. But at the end of the day, it's like what you're talking about and what we're able to do is you said something to me that was powerful earlier because I feel the same way. I think a lot of folks have done this. When you talked about your family and all that shit, you talked about how much it motivated you. It motivated you.
Oh, I got a list, dude.
You have a huge list.
I got a big list.
I think the people, and I've seen a lot of folks I sit across from like you. They're not like you. You're different in a very good way. But I'm like, dude, I keep score too. I got a fucking list too. I was at a meeting the other day. This guy came up and said, man, my dad, I played ball with his dad, right?
Yeah.
It's like, my dad said that you're fucking crazy. I said, I am fucking crazy. And he said, but you always said you'd be rich.
Yeah.
And I said, I always said I'd be successful. Because I'm like, yo, it wasn't the money. I want to do something everybody told me I couldn't do.
Yeah.
It's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And dude, you have a great story. You're great to talk to. When is your event, by the way? When's your next event?
Next event's in October, man.
October. Where is it at?
It's going to be either in Miami or it's going to be in Dallas.
Okay.
We got major lineup.
Good.
Would love to have you part of it, man.
I'd love to be there.
Yeah.
Set my in. Count me in.
All right, cool.
How do they find you if they're looking to get to the event?
Instagram.
Okay.
Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, Schmicktalk. The whole deal.
Anywhere they want.
I'm the easiest guy to locate.
You are not hard to find,
yeah, I'm
bro.
the easiest guy to locate. But yeah, find me at Vick Tipnes and my handle. But we'll be posting about the next conference here pretty soon. And next one's going to be, more. Look, the first two have been great, man. We had thousands of people show up, and it's been epic.
Love it.
It's been really
Well,
epic. It's been a great experience.
I'll definitely be there, and I would love to participate. And Vic, I appreciate you being here, because what we do to give back to people means a lot to me, and to see what you've been through, what you built, how you built it, and you carry yourself with a lot of humility, despite having a lot of the talent that you have. So that is interesting.
No, I appreciate it.
But I mean it, and I love. One of the things we always do is Andrew's like he vets everybody, and he'll be like, hey, and I said, what's the deal with Vic? He goes, he's fucking legit. So that's about as good as you get.
Did you really
with
say
us.
that?
That's what he said. That's what he said. It's as good as it gets. He's
What made you think
he's
I was
fucking
legit?
Tell him.
I just want to know, because there's a lot of people on social
100%.
media right now. You don't know who's legit or not.
We were going to work with you before.
Yeah.
But I didn't trust the guy who was putting it together.
Oh, really?
Had nothing to do with you, but
Who was it? Caesar.
Yeah.
I didn't really trust him.
Who's that?
I just looked through.
Oh.
I looked through your profile. And
Oh.
by now I've seen so many profiles.
but that's the thing. He studies so many of them.
Yeah.
So the reality really is you get, and then he sent it to me, and then I can tell you for me, I'll go through, because it's interesting to me. So I'll start going through, looking at the person, see, and it was original.
Yeah.
The things you were saying were you.
Yeah.
They're original.
Yeah.
Your story's easy to find. You can research and see what you've been through.
Yeah.
And focus on family.
Yeah.
That was awesome too.
Yeah.
So it was hey, I've done these things, but it wasn't look at how I think the thing for me, Vic, is you can lose it as fast as you've made it.
Yeah.
And I think some people forget that. I'm very blessed.
Yeah.
Done better than I ever. I'm God, it's unbelievable. But every fucking day, I think if I ever lose sight of who I am, where I came from, and what I'm supposed to do here, because I'm like you.
Yeah.
I went to the Armory when I was 17, take my ASVABs, took them because I want to be a Marine.
Yeah.
All I ever want to do.
Yeah.
My mom was like, "You're going to college?" I'm like, "No." And I might not have lasted that long. She'd been like, "Let's wait." I'm like, "No, let's go kill everybody." He's dead. He fucking never listens to nobody. It's psycho.
Yeah.
So, but I like real people that truly want to help others. So that's why your conference, I'm sure, is so freaking amazing, because you actually want to help people.
I do, man. Look, I haven't made any money off my conferences, and conferences are a loss leader, right?
Yeah.
You make money on the back, it's the relationships. To me, that's
100%.
where you really get paid, is the relationships. But I think you bring up an interesting point, because I think what people lose sight of is you're never going to be successful if you don't wake up like the rents do every day.
Yeah, man.
And I could tell that, with you, you wake up every day like the rents do. These guys, you know me, every day the
Freaking
rents
out,
do.
dude. Absolutely.
Every day. It doesn't matter the level of success that you have. It doesn't stop. And it's the rents due every single day. And I think a lot of the newer entrepreneurs, I think that, not to get into the masculinity thing, which I think is the people, the guys today are just super soft.
They're soft.
Super soft.
It's true.
You
fucking soft.
You touch them on the shoulder and oh my God, you expect me to work.
Correct.
And it's dude, they're just soft, man. And if you have that soft mentality, that's why, what I'm teaching my kids to be, my 2-year-olds, is I want them to be fucking savages.
They should be savages.
And I'm if you're a savage today, if you're half savage today,
you own everything, because nobody's doing anything, because it's
everyone's
a bunch of
so
fucking
soft,
punks.
working 8 hours a day.
Correct.
No,
and you can
dude.
fucking steamroll them all.
Yeah.
I've said this, and
you don't even have to be that smart.
And I don't make a lot of the guys I hire, they're 20, 21, 22. And I tell them, listen, dude, I love you, right? Look around. When I got into business, there were a lot of people that were fucking looking to rip your fucking head off.
Yeah.
And as the years went on, I'm like, dude, it's so much easier. And I'm not trying to talk shit. There's a lot of really smart people. You have the information at your hand. But if you will just decide, nobody fucks with me, nothing anybody can do can hurt me, I'm in charge of what I'm doing, like, fuck you, try me.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Like, please. Yeah, pick me. Don't pick somebody else. Pick me.
Right.
Come try to take, I was reading the 38 letters John D. Rockefeller wrote to his son. Great book. Have you read that yet?
No, I haven't.
Great book. You'd love it.
Yeah.
The boys. And in one of the letters, he's talking about
You gotta get me that.
what I love, dude, is the game. Like the fact that I built my business, talking about the rail things he was doing back in the day, and people are always trying to take what I got.
Yeah.
People are always trying to compete with me. Because every day I wake up thinking somebody's trying to do what I'm doing better than me.
Yeah.
And fuck, there ain't no way I'm letting them do that.
Yeah.
So why not?
Why
in
not?
whatever industry you're in.
Yeah.
So it's
How do you feel when people doubt you? Like,
dude, I love
what's
it.
your thing?
It motivates the living shit out of me.
That's weird, isn't it?
Yes.
I get the same thing.
But I love it. Like, I'm like, and we say
it.
it. They're like, look what he said. I'm like, good. Let them say whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
And I used to get really, back in the day, it motivated me. But I'm like cussing everybody out. I'm like, dude, fuck, I care what that guy is saying. I'm just gonna go do better, work my ass off. People have been down on me my whole life.
Yeah.
People are like, dude, I don't even like jewelry. I have Rolexes. Why? Because my 9th grade English teacher told me I'd never own one. Like, even when he went out of his way, because I wrote a dumbass poem and said, your kids like you from where you're from should never write. Like, he was just an asshole.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's dead or alive, but it was like stupid shit like that. I got my
Yeah.
real estate license because my mom got hers as a single mom. She gave hers up because everybody made fun of her and said she couldn't make it.
Yeah.
And she kept her 3 shitty jobs her whole life. So I was like, fuck, I'm getting a real estate license. Like, why? I'm like, because my mom didn't do it. So fuck everybody else. I'm going to get it, be the biggest fucking realtor in the fucking area. I have the same last name as my mom. So, like, why don't we? I wanted to change the way that people looked at
I do too.
people
I had
with
the
my
same
last name.
as my mom.
Yeah, like, I want you to change the way you look at fucking people that have my last name.
Yeah.
And that was my thing, dude. So finding people like you is, and it's all where you said, it's all relationships. It's the people I've been able to meet. And when I meet people that are full of shit, I got no problem saying it. He knows. He'll be like, damn. I'm like, bro, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
No, I'm like, no, you're completely fucking full of shit. Like, and I'm not mad at you, and you're full of shit. And if you don't like it, then fuck you.
Yeah, you can smell it now.
Yeah, a mile away. And that's the other thing nowadays. It's like, well, I've worked for 4 years. What do I get to do? Bro, you're 22 years old.
Yeah.
What? You're 22 fucking years old. Like, what are you going to do the rest of your life anyway?
Yeah.
And, warriors aren't trained to retire in any industry. Whether these guys in the military and whether it's you're an entrepreneur, you're not trained to retire, bro.
So let's talk about, we got a little bit of time. We'll
Go
talk
for it,
about
bro.
planes. Why do you want to get a plane?
Why did I get it?
No, why do you want to? Do you have a plane now?
I have a citation. I just sold my citation tent. I had it for
So why did you want to get
4
a plane?
years.
I think it's a little different for everybody.
My only motivation was I traveled so much building my insurance company.
Got it.
When I built my real estate company, I didn't have to travel. Everything was, within honestly a 45-minute drive. I could get in my car and do everything I needed to do. When I was building a life insurance distribution, I realized I was going to be in every state, literally. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to fly I was in Connecticut at the time, from Connecticut to Atlanta for 1 day for a meeting, stay in a hotel, leave the next day, go to California. I'm like, I want to do 3 or 4 meetings in a day.
Yeah.
And the only reason I bought the plane was for that. At the beginning, I'd flown commercial my whole damn life. I'm like, I've been on more flights than most anybody. There was one year I did 302 meetings in a year.
Wow.
In 302 cities in a fucking year.
Yeah.
So I'm also like, dude, I work my ass off. I want to be around my family. I want to be around people that I love.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend my entire life in a plane in a hotel room. I don't mind grinding, but let's do it smarter. So I started chartering through Wheels Up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit. Like I can do 4. So I'm like, I leave Connecticut, I hit Baltimore. Hour meeting. Philly. Hour meeting. Detroit. Hour meeting. I fucking end in Dallas, do a meeting that night.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I'm going back next day, I'm done for the week. So then I start looking at the price. I'm like, it's bullshit. I'm going to buy my own plane.
Yeah.
And then, true story, there's only a couple hundred citation X's or 10s in the world. And my buddy called me. He's like, hey, dude, this one company is putting 30 of them on the market. Oh, wow. Like, I know you want to sell yours. I want to Gulfstream.
Yeah.
So I know you want to sell yours. And then taxes. I'm like, there's a good time for me to do what I'm doing at the end of this year. And but it's kind of funny. Ever since I sold it, they're like, "Hey, you want to meet?" And I'm like, "Yep." And I give them my home address and I send it. I'm like, "I'll be right here. Y'all want to come for the meeting? You come to me."
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted mine.
And how did it change you when you got your plane?
Change me in what way? What do you mean? Just in any way?
How did you feel?
I never thought I would feel different, but I did.
You did. Right?
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. I felt I felt different.
I never met anybody that didn't change the way they felt.
I felt flying. Coming in the FBO, walking off my plane. getting into a car, it's plain side. You know, I started to realize, like, I want to, and you talk about sleep. Like, dude, I also didn't want to sleep 2 fucking hours a night my whole life.
Yeah.
That can't be healthy. Like, it got to a point where it's like my skin, everything. I'm like, God, I want to fucking stay young.
Yeah.
I want to stay in good health. Dude, I'm not going to lie to you. It changed.
It does.
Do you think I look forward to grabbing my new one? I do.
Yeah.
You know, and that was the thing with citation. You can only fly it so far.
Yeah.
So it's not that I do a ton internationally, but I still like to go. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to charter a plane to go to Germany. I want to fly my plane to Germany.
Exactly.
And I can't do it with citation and hold enough gas.
Yeah,
It won't be a great flight. It'll end eventually before it gets there.
Yeah. No, it's so true. It does change you. And I think it pushes you.
Yeah.
It definitely pushed me. You know, definitely pushes you. I think you get to this area where you're just like, I think you and I are very similar, and I think that neither one of us thought we'd ever get here.
100%.
So having even the ability to even fly private, even charter, is a privilege, right? Much less being able to say, hey, let me look at buying my own plane and all that type of stuff. But I definitely think that it challenges you a tremendous amount.
No doubt.
A tremendous
Well,
amount.
dude, and also like, and for me, weirdly, I've done very well, but I still look at stuff. I'm like, okay, that cost me $410,000 last month to fly it. I own it, and it cost me that. And I'm like, I got the money, but it keeps me, to your point, it keeps me very fucking motivated, and it has given me the opportunity to do things I couldn't do.
It makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like, it's so
makes you uncomfortable.
Flying is one, buying is one thing. Running it every single day, every week, every month, that's the ball game.
That's the ball game.
You better believe it. You
could
buy
get
one
a
and
free-
park it.
You could get a free fucking plane.
You better believe it.
And
Just let it sit and take
nothing.
pictures. Yeah, but
That's
you start
nothing.
flying them motherfucker all over the country on a
Even
daily,
if that thing
weekly.
sits there. No.
No, it's definitely changed, dude. And so it's been a lot of fun. And I think also knowing that I never, it's funny, like when we moved here, somebody's like, oh, do you like boats? Did you grow up with boats? And I'm like, dude, my mom didn't have a car. Like the closest thing I had a plastic boat in a fucking bathtub if I was a kid. And I don't remember that, but I might have. I don't know that I did.
Yeah.
But even like buying a yacht, it's like, it's just different pulling up to a restaurant and not like, oh my God, look at me, the convenience of it, and you're just like, God, this is, and you realize like people, this intercoastal here, I came here one time, I don't remember what age I was, maybe 12. The same waterway had the same damn ferry that people come and take pictures.
Yeah.
And one day they got one of my buddies like, that's so fucking weird. Why do they take pictures of the house? I'm like, well, first of all, your mom and dad left you your house.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't know what it's like to be on the motherfucker.
Yeah.
Me, we had a Polaroid camera. My grandma, like I thought this was the coolest thing ever. I thought my buddy Mike was rich because they had a house.
Yeah.
First house I lived in, I bought it.
Yeah.
Like I was like, holy shit, y'all have a house? And they have an above ground pool. I thought they're rich as shit. He was over my house the other day. He's like, dude, my mom worked at the court. She made like $50,000 a year. I was like, dude, I thought y'all was rich as shit. You had an above ground pool and
we had the same thing.
And a house.
We grew up in my dad was a very successful entrepreneur when we were in Leicester, England, right? We were going to private schools and the whole thing. And then one of his brothers convinced him to buy a motel in Tallahassee, Florida. So we went from this subdivision private school. We had a Mercedes and a Citroen. You know what Citroen is? So we had a Mercedes and a Citroen. And we went from that life to living. There was probably barely a 1,000 square foot apartment that was attached to the front desk.
Really?
Like the front desk office.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people remember, but back, before all the big hotels, you'd go to the inn and you'd hit the button and there would be a window, night window, a guy would come out. So that was attached to my house. And we had 25 rooms, started at room 13 and went all the way to 36. Funny story. So room 13, this is a true story. So it happened 10 years before my dad bought this motel. And there was a murder
in 13
that happened in 13.
Wow.
The murder was so gruesome that was the reason that Florida enacted the death penalty.
Really?
It was because of the murder in that room at the Ponce de Leon. Ponce de Leon was the guy that found the Fountain of Youth. The motel was called the Ponce de Leon. That's where I grew up. And the murder that happened in that room in room 13. Because when I was a little kid, it started at 11, went 12, 14. So I was like, hey, Mom,
13?
what happened to 13? They never told me. So then my cousin was going to FSU law school. He was going to be a tax attorney. He's going to law school, and he comes home and he brings the case log of the case that happened in room 13. It was because of that reason they passed the bill.
Because the murder was that gruesome.
It was
they
that
wanted to make
gruesome.
sure they could kill the person and hold them accountable.
Yeah,
and
and
punish
that's why Florida got the death penalty.
Wow.
Because of the murder that happened there. I forget why I was telling the story, but the point was that we went from that life in this. I think the murder was like in 72 or 73.
Who got killed? Man, woman,
I don't know.
people?
I don't know. But it was pretty bad.
Interesting. I guess so.
It was pretty bad. And so I grew up at that motel. You know,
not
it
room
wasn't
13,
haunted.
though.
No. It wasn't haunted or anything. But my point was we didn't have we didn't have a house until I was 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
So when I was growing up, similar to that, we go to the people's houses and they'd have this house. Like, wow, you guys are rich.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, so I'm like, my friends thought it was cool that I lived in a motel. I fucking hated it. I wouldn't say I guess I was kind of embarrassed, right?
Yeah.
Because I had all these friends that had homes. And I was like, hey, I live in a motel. But they thought it was super cool because they're like, wow, you live in a motel. I wish I could live in a motel. I mean, nah, dude, it ain't all what you think it is. Because we worked all the time. Right. So, you know, I remember going only with my parents I only remember going to places with my parents once or twice in my entire life.
Wow.
Because one of them had to always be at the motel. Yeah. Which was one of the reasons I said I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur I think I was like 9. And I knew that I wanted to be in a business that I wasn't chained to.
Correct.
And that was something that kind of helped formulate a lot of my ideas. I was like, I don't want to be chained to a business. I don't want to have a place where, you know, my wife and I can't go someplace because we have to stay and watch the business and enjoy times and moments.
You want to own the business, not have that shit on you.
You want to own the business. And so I remember being very frustrated as a kid growing up, seeing this because I wanted to be an entrepreneur and I was seeing my dad. And I was like, man, this guy's chained to this business. This is not the way to live. There's got to be a better way. Correct. You know what I mean? So that helped formulate a lot of my ideas about becoming an entrepreneur. But point said is, that was the reason the death penalty happened.
Crazy story,
dude. Motel, and also, you know, I think growing up, if you have an entrepreneurial family, you got to pay attention to those things. There's pluses and minuses, right? Mm-hmm. So people looking at you, they're like, hey, you got it more right than wrong. Mm-hmm. You know, you're doing your own thing, and you've built this successful empire, and you're able to live your life. Mm-hmm. But then there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are chained to their business, and they may be making great money, but they're chained to it. Correct. And then that's not freedom, and you want freedom.
100%. I think I wanted over everything. Vic, I'll tell you what, dude, I could do this all day long. I appreciate you being here. Yeah, thank you. And guys, find him. Go to his conference. You don't want to miss out. You can find him everywhere. He don't hide. He's not hard to track down. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share, get it to somebody. And as always, appreciate your time and hope it makes a difference in your life. Vic, appreciate you, bro. Thanks, man. Thanks for being here.